Hello everyone, I am Professor O'Keefe. I'll be your instructor this semester for beginning creative writing. So this class is an overview of the different parts of creative writing, how to write creatively. Part of my degree in my bachelor's degree in college was creative writing, and so I had an emphasis in it, and it's something that I really enjoy, and so I'm glad you were able to take this class. This class will be a lot different from other classes that you've taken, especially Alan, because it is a class that we talk about the concept of ungrading in. So I'll get to that here in just a little bit, but basically first I just want to give an overview of everything that's going on. So I'm a remote instructor this semester. I was on the Burlingame campus, but now I'm recording from my bedroom because I don't have a campus to be at. So I'll do one of these videos at the beginning of each module, and they're just overview videos. They're giving you just some kind of information about that particular module, a little bit more about completing the assignment, and trying to give you some tips and just maybe explain it a little bit differently. Most students who are most successful in my classes are ones who watch these videos, and it's typically because I either answer their questions in the video or I explain it just a little bit differently, and so when they go in to complete the assignment, it just makes more sense to them, and they kind of know exactly what I'm looking for when they're completing the assignment. So I really highly encourage you to watch them. They're not very long, and I'll do one at the beginning of each module. So this is what the class looks like. If you've never taken an Allen class before, we'll kind of go over some of the features you want to be thinking about. Over here on the side is just the list of assignments. However, I do not want you to just click on the assignments and complete the class that way. It's really important that you go into the modules tab to see the rest of the information that you're going to need to be successful in the class. You can't just click on these and be successful. One of the things I want you to be looking at first off is the syllabus as well. I've got the syllabus in here as well as two different ways to look at the class. So the first one is kind of a standard course at a glance that you may have seen in other online classes. It basically just lists the assignment, the outcome that it supports, so why we're doing it, how many points it's worth, and then the due date. You'll notice that a lot of these assignments have the word ungraded for them instead of a point value, and that's because this class is one where I will not be grading you. You are going to be grading yourself. So the concept of ungrading is actually not new in higher education, and it's very popular in classes like this, where a lot of what you're doing is kind of personal. So when we write, we tend to really dig into what makes us the person that we are, and so it can be very subjective when you're grading, and so it's almost unfair for me to grade a poem that you've written with some like deep personal experiences, and then for me to say, well, that's a terrible poem. So the problem with doing that with creative writing is it can kind of stifle what people are doing. So instead of doing that, I am working with this concept of what's called ungrading. And ungrading basically means that you are going to give yourself a grade for the semester. And so before you start panicking, each module will have what's called a self-assessment quiz. And the self-assessment quiz is how you'll get your grade for the semester. We have to have points in the grade book. And so there's going to be 130 total. It doesn't sound like a lot, but for the most part, all these self-assessment quizzes are ones that you're doing yourself. So what you're going to be doing is you'll do the assignment, you'll submit the writing, and then you'll go in and you'll take the self-assessment quiz, and you'll determine whether or not you actually met the criteria for the assignment. Now, if you go into the self-assessment quiz and you see that, let's say it's a poem and you were supposed to follow some type of rhyme scheme and you didn't do that in your poem, then you have the option of either like marking yourself off on the quiz, so losing a point on the quiz, or going back in and rewriting the poem, submitting it again. Now the poem matches the criteria. You could go into the self-assessment quiz and you can score yourself correctly. So those quizzes will be open for a while, and so you can go back in and reassess yourself if you need to. This happens a lot with the discussion boards. You can see the feedback discussion boards, because students will submit their story and then nobody else has submitted, and so then they have to wait a little while before they can give feedback, and so then they go in and give feedback eventually, and so they can go in and change their score on those self-assessment quizzes. You can see that we basically have 4 sections of the class. We're going to be doing nonfiction, creative nonfiction, fiction, poetry, and drama. And then we have kind of a final set of assignments, and those all have late deadlines. And after the late deadline, the assignment is completely closed. Up until that point, we have due dates. The due dates, there's no penalty for submitting it after the due date. You just have to submit it by the late deadline. The earlier you submit it, the more likely it is that you'll get everything done and be successful in the class. So it'll take some getting used to, but hopefully things will start to make sense, especially if you're watching these videos at the beginning of each module. So this is what the first module looks like. We got the getting started information here. If you've never taken an Allen class, you need to go through this. You also need to get your textbook. It looks like this. It just says creative writing at the top. It's 4 genres in brief. And David Starkey is our author. You need this textbook for the class. There's going to be readings out of this textbook. There will be actually a lot of stuff that we're going to use. We'll probably go through almost the entire textbook in the class, so you need the book. We work on a rental system, so you have already paid for it. All you have to do is contact the bookstore and have them mail it to you, so that's important. Academic honesty as well, just as a reminder that obviously plagiarism is not tolerated at any level of the college, and particularly in a writing class. We do not tolerate students copying and pasting other people's work. We also do not tolerate AI generators for creating work, so you cannot use an AI generator in this class. If you do, I will fail you for plagiarism. First module, there's not a lot to this module. We're just doing a lot of introductory stuff. And so you have a welcome email assignment, which will send you, have you send an email to me so that I know how to use I know you know how to use your email. It also gives me a chance to get to know you a little bit better. You'll have an introductory discussion board, which is going to challenge your ability to be descriptive in your writing. So you're going to describe 2 different views, your current view and then your ideal view if you had a genie grant all of your wishes, that kind of thing. And you can put pictures in there as well. So it's kind of a fun way to get to know the people in this class. And then you'll have your self-assessment quiz. The quiz is pretty simple. It's just going to ask you questions like, actually, it's all true-false statements. So it's going to be, I did this, and you say true or false. I viewed the information. You give it true or false. Now, this is basically, the idea here is that if you did not view the information in getting started module and you lie on this quiz, then the only person you're hurting is yourself. So I encourage you to be truthful in these self-assessment quizzes. There is a code word in the syllabus, so you actually have to look in the course syllabus. You have to download the syllabus and read it, and there is a code word in there, and you want to put that in there. And then you want to make sure that you're scoring yourself. Now, if you say, for example, I completed all the posts on the discussion board and you put true, and then I go in to grade your discussion board post and there's nothing there, you didn't submit anything, so you lied on the quiz. I'm going to go into your quiz and I'm going to put a comment, you didn't do this, you need to do this, or I'm going to take a point off. And if you don't ever end up doing the discussion board, then I'll go in and I'll take the point off. If those of you who are worried that people are just going to go through and lie on all the quizzes and then still get an A in the class without having done any of the work, that's not what happens. The only thing I can't prove for sure is whether or not you read things. So part of it is me just trusting you that if you are lying, if you're being dishonest about the work that you've done, then the only person you're hurting is yourself. So that's the idea behind this class. Hopefully you'll have fun with it. Creative writing is one of the more exciting classes that you can take. There's a lot, it's not necessarily an easy class, but hopefully there's a lot less pressure for this class than some of your other classes. And so maybe you'll actually find something that you really, really enjoy writing. And so I'm hoping that that's the case here. So if you have any questions, you can always send me an email. I'll be going over, obviously, the other modules very soon. Typically, I open the next module the Friday after the previous module is opened. So you usually have a couple extra days before the week that we're working on that module. So because we'll have a new one every week. So if you have any questions, send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.